The flashing lights pierced the stormy Chicago night as Officer Kai Thompson flipped on his siren and pulled the black sedan over on the wet stretch of Lakeshore Drive. Rain hammered the windshield of his patrol car while he gripped the steering wheel for a second, steadying his breath before stepping out into the downpour. As he approached the driver's side window with flashlight raised, his heart slammed against his ribs when the glass lowered and Leonardo Reyes looked up at him with those dark, intense eyes he had only seen once before at the precinct holiday party, the captain's golden boy son. "License and registration, please," Kai said, keeping his voice level, even as recognition hit him like a punch. Leonardo handed over the documents, his fingers brushing Kai's for a split second, sending an unwanted jolt through him. Speeding in this weather, Sir Kai continued scanning the ID, confirming the name Victor Reyes, son, age 25, address in Lincoln Park. "I know I was going too fast," Leonardo replied, his tone smooth but edged with something vulnerable. "I just had a blowout fight with my dad and needed to clear my head." Kai swallowed hard, the captain's face flashing in his mind, the man who ran the 23rd District with iron fists and zero tolerance for anything that didn't fit the old-school cop mold. "You're Captain Reyes' son," Kai stated, more to himself than to Leonardo. "Yeah, and you're the officer who always keeps it professional at roll call," Leonardo said, a small smile tugging at his lips despite the rain dripping down his face. Kai ran the plates, everything clean, then handed back the documents with a warning instead of the ticket, his gut twisting, because protocol screamed write it up, but something in Leonardo's gaze made him hesitate. "Slow it down next time," he said, "and if you ever need to talk about that family stuff, my personal number is on the back of my card." He slid the card through the window before he could stop himself. Leonardo took it, his eyes widening slightly. "Thanks, Officer Thompson. I might just take you up on that." Kai walked back to his car, soaked and shaken, the wipers slapping rhythmically as he pulled away, wondering what the hell he had just done. Back at the precinct an hour later, he sat in the locker room staring at his phone, the weight of his double life pressing down. At 28, Kai had built a solid reputation on the force, quick thinker, good with people, never missed a shift, but no one knew the truth that he was gay and had been burying it since his conservative parents in Indiana drilled into him that real men didn't feel that way. The job was his armor, the brotherhood his family, and coming out felt like career suicide, especially under Captain Reyes, who had once joked in the break room about how the department didn't need any rainbow distractions. Kai's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "This is Leonardo. Appreciate the break tonight. Coffee sometime to say thanks properly." Kai stared at the screen, his thumb hovering. He should delete it, ignore it, but instead he typed back, "Maybe. Keep it between us." The reply came fast deal. Kai closed his eyes, the rain still echoing in his ears, knowing this small choice to bend the rules had already cracked the foundation he had spent years building, and the price, if it ever came out, would be everything. The next afternoon, Kai found himself at a quiet coffee shop off Michigan Avenue, nursing a black coffee, while Leonardo slid into the booth across from him, wearing a simple hoodie that did nothing to hide his athletic build. "Thanks for meeting me," Leonardo said, his voice low as he stirred sugar into his latte. "I didn't expect you to actually show." Kai shrugged, trying to play it cool, but his pulse raced. "Figured you needed an ear after that fight with your dad." Leonardo nodded, leaning in slightly, the steam from their cups rising between them. "He's always on my case about joining the force, or at least marrying some nice girl and settling down like he did. Doesn't get that I have my own path, law school part-time, and this restlessness I can't explain to him." Kai listened, his own secrets bubbling up uninvited. "I get family pressure," he said quietly. "My folks back home still think I'm going to bring home a wife someday, but the job keeps me focused." Their eyes met and held longer than they should have, something unspoken passing between them. Leonardo smiled softly. "You're not like the other guys at the precinct, Kai. You actually listen." They talked for 2 hours, the conversation flowing from surface topics to deeper ones, Leonardo admitting he felt trapped by his last name, Kai confessing in vague terms how the uniform sometimes felt like a cage. When they stepped outside into the crisp fall air, Leonardo touched Kai's arm lightly. "This stays between us, right?" Kai nodded, his skin burning from the brief contact. "Absolutely." That night, back in his small apartment in Wicker Park, Kai paced the floor, replaying every word, every glance. He had always kept relationships casual, hidden hookups out of town, never letting anyone close enough to threaten his career, but Leonardo felt different, like a mirror to his own hidden struggles. The captain's son. The risk was insane, yet when his phone lit up with another text from Leonardo, "Good talk tonight. Same time next week." Kai replied without hesitation, "Can't wait." The following days blurred into routine patrols and paperwork, but every spare moment his mind drifted to Leonardo. At roll call, Captain Reyes barked orders, his sharp gaze landing on Kai for a second too long, or maybe Kai was imagining it. His partner officer, Mike Delgado, a burly veteran with 20 years on the job, clapped him on the back after shift. "You seem distracted. Lately, Thompson. Everything good at home?" Kai forced a laugh. "Yeah, just tired." But inside, guilt gnawed at him because home was a lonely one-bedroom, and the secret he carried grew heavier with every text exchange with Leonardo. They met again at the same coffee shop, then took a walk along the Chicago Riverwalk, the sun breaking through clouds for the first time in days. Leonardo pointed out the architecture, his passion for the city shining through, and Kai found himself laughing genuinely for the first time in months. As they paused near the water, Leonardo turned to him. "I don't know why, but I feel like I can be real with you, Kai. No judgment." Kai wanted to say the same, but the words stuck in his throat, the fear of exposure too fresh. Instead, he squeezed Leonardo's shoulder briefly. "Same here." That small touch lingered in his mind long after they parted, and Kai knew he was crossing a line that could cost him his badge, his friends, his entire identity within the department. Weeks turned into a fragile routine of stolen moments, Kai and Leonardo carving out time between shifts and classes, meeting in out-of-the-way spots where no one from the precinct would spot them. One Saturday, they drove out to Millennium Park, the bright sun warming their faces as they spread a blanket under the Cloud Gate sculpture, laughing about the distorted reflections that made them look like a normal couple. Leonardo packed sandwiches and fruit, his thoughtfulness catching Kai off guard. "You didn't have to do all this," Kai said, popping a grape into his mouth, "but I'm glad you did." Leonardo leaned back on his elbows, the city skyline sparkling behind him. "Makes me forget the pressure for a bit. My dad called again this morning, pushing me to apply for that internship at the DA office. Says it'll build character." Kai chewed slowly, his own phone silent after ignoring a call from his mother, who still asked every Sunday if he was seeing anyone nice. "I told my folks I'm focusing on work," he admitted quietly. "They don't push as hard anymore, but I know they worry." Their conversation deepened under the clear sky, Leonardo sharing stories of growing up in his father's shadow, the expectations, the unspoken disappointment when he chose law over policing. Kai opened up more than he ever had about the academy days when he buried his feelings so deep he almost believed they were gone. As the afternoon stretched, they walked hand in hand for a few risky steps along a quieter path, the contact electric yet innocent. "This feels right," Leonardo whispered, stopping to face him. Kai nodded, heart pounding, but pulled back when a jogger passed too close. "It does, but we have to be careful." That evening back at the precinct, Kai sat in his cruiser, finishing reports, when Mike slid into the passenger seat unannounced. "Heard you were out in the park earlier, partner." Kai's stomach dropped. "Just grabbing lunch," he lied, keeping his tone even. Mike studied him for a second, then shrugged. "Cool, just looking out for you. Word around here is the captain is cracking down on side distractions." Kai forced a nod. "Thanks, man." Alone again, he gripped the wheel, the close call sending adrenaline surging. Later that night, Leonardo texted a photo of the park from his angle, with the caption, "Best day in weeks." Kai replied with a heart emoji, then deleted it immediately, the action feeling like another small betrayal to himself. The relationship deepened emotionally, their talks turning to dreams and fears, Leonardo admitting he had known he was gay since high school but never acted on it until now, Kai confessing the isolation of the closet. They shared their first kiss in the shadows of a quiet alley after a movie, one evening, soft and tentative, the kind that promised more without demanding it. Kai pulled away, breathless. "We can't let this get out." Leonardo nodded, eyes shining. "I know the cost. But the joy in those moments made the risk feel worth it until the first cracks appeared." At a precinct barbecue, Captain Reyes pulled Kai aside, his grip firm on Kai's shoulder. "You're a good cop, Thompson. Keep it that way. No funny business." Kai smiled through the chill running down his spine. "Yes, sir." Driving home that night, he wondered how long he could balance the two worlds before one collapsed. The summer heat wrapped Chicago like a blanket as Kai and Leonardo stole more time together, a weekend hike along the lakefront trails where they paused at scenic overlooks, trading stories and quiet affirmations. Leonardo reached for Kai's hand when no one was around, his touch steady and reassuring. "You make me want to be braver," he said. Kai squeezed back, but inside the moral tug of war raged. Every shift he put on the uniform, he felt the lie heavier, the brotherhood he valued now tainted by the secret that could shatter it. His partner Mike started noticing changes. You've been checking your phone a lot lately. Thompson got a girl or something. Kai deflected with a joke, but the suspicion lingered like smoke. Then came the first real confrontation. Leonardo invited Kai to a low-key dinner at his apartment in the Loop, the table set with candles and takeout from their favorite Thai place. They talked for hours, Leonardo opening up about a recent argument with his father, who had set up a blind date with a colleague's daughter. I told him no, but he won't listen, Leonardo said, frustration etching his face. Kai listened, then shared his own family voicemail from that morning, his mother hinting at a church singles event back home. We both have so much to lose, Kai said, but being here with you feels like the only honest thing in my life. Their embrace that night was warm and full of promise, hands tracing back, words of affection exchanged, but Kai left before dawn, the guilt of the deception following him home. At work, the tension escalated when Captain Reyes announced a new policy on personal conduct during roll call. Eyes scanning the room, landing briefly on Kai. We represent the badge 24/7, he growled, no room for complications. Kai nodded along, but his mind raced to Leonardo. Later, Mike cornered him in the locker room. Spill it, partner, I saw you with some guy near the park last week. Was that Reyes' kid? Kai's blood ran cold. Just helping with a case, he lied, the words tasting bitter. Mike narrowed his eyes, not buying it, but I got your back for now. The betrayal of lying to his partner stung. Kai spent the night staring at the ceiling, weighing the price of truth against the safety of silence. Leonardo called the next day, voice tight. My dad asked about you, specifically said he heard rumors. Kai froze. What did you tell him? Nothing, but we need to be smarter. They agreed to cool it for a week, but the separation only sharpened the longing. When they met again at a hidden bench in Grant Park, the reunion was charged with emotion, Leonardo pulling Kai into a hug that lasted minutes. I hate hiding, he whispered. Me too, Kai replied, but the alternative scares me more. That choice to continue in secret set off a chain reaction when a fellow officer spotted them exchanging a quick glance at a public event and whispered to Mike. The rumors began to spread quietly at first, but gaining momentum like a storm building over the lake. Fall leaves crunched underfoot as Kai patrolled the streets, his mind divided between duty and the growing complications with Leonardo. They had risked a quick lunch near the river one day, laughing over shared memories, but the joy was laced with anxiety. Leonardo had confided that his father was pushing harder for him to move back home and date seriously, the pressure mounting after a family dinner where Victor Reyes had slammed his fist on the table, demanding obedience. I stood my ground, Leonardo told Kai, but it cost me his trust. Kai understood too, while his own parents' recent visit to Chicago, filled with questions about his single status, leaving him drained. The moral dilemma deepened when Internal Affairs circulated a memo about fraternization. Kai, reading it with a knot in his stomach, knowing his actions skirted the edges. Then the first betrayal hit. Mike approached him after a long shift, his expression grave. Look, I didn't want to say anything, but I heard from Ramirez and Vice that you and the captain's son have been seen together more than once. Kai denied it at first, but Mike pressed. I'm not judging, but if the captain finds out, it could end bad for both of you. The loyalty Kai had counted on from his partner cracked that day, forcing him to question who he could truly trust. Leonardo faced his own storm at home, his father confronting him directly one evening, Victor pacing the living room, demanding answers about late nights and mysterious texts. You better not be throwing your life away on something stupid, the captain growled. Leonardo held firm, but the words cut deep, leaving him shaken when he met Kai later at their usual spot. He suspects something, Leonardo said, voice breaking. Kai pulled him close, the embrace a small rebellion against the world closing in. We can handle this, he assured, but inside doubt gnawed at him. The harassment started subtly at the precinct, sidelong glances from colleagues, whispered comments about Kai taking personal calls during briefings. One officer even bumped him harder than necessary during a drill, muttering about distractions. Kai reported nothing, knowing it would draw more attention. The price of his choices mounted. Sleep evaded him, decisions weighed heavily each day, a balance of love and survival. They shared a quiet moment at Millennium Park again, the picnic blanket a reminder of happier times, but this one ended with Leonardo asking the hard question. Are we worth all this, Kai? The answer came from deep within, yes, but the cost is rising faster than I expected. That night, Kai received an anonymous text from a precinct number. Watch yourself, Thompson. The warning chilled him, confirming the rumors had reached critical mass, and the unit he loved was turning into a minefield. Winter winds howled through Chicago as the secret finally cracked open in the worst possible way. Kai was in the middle of briefing his team on a domestic call when Captain Reyes stormed into the room, his face a mask of fury. "Thompson, my office now," he barked. Kai followed, heart hammering, knowing this was it. Inside the captain's office, Leonardo already sat in a chair, eyes red from arguing. Victor slammed the door. "I have photos of you two together from a so-called friend in the department." "Explain yourselves." Kai stood tall, forcing calm into his voice. "Sir, it's not what you think," but the words felt hollow. Leonardo spoke up. "Dad, we care about each other. This isn't some fling." The captain's laugh was bitter. "Care, my son, with one of my officers in my own house. You're both suspended pending investigation." The confrontation escalated, voices rising, accusations flying, the captain painting Kai as a predator who took advantage, Leonardo defending with passion that revealed his own awakening. Kai felt the betrayal sting when Mike admitted in the hallway that he had been the one to tip off the captain to protect the unit. "I had a partner," he said. "You left me no choice." Kai nodded, numb. The brotherhood he cherished now fractured by his own actions. Outside the precinct, Leonardo waited for him, grabbing his hand openly for the first time. "I choose you," he said, but the words came at the price of his family home that night. They drove to Kai's apartment in silence, the weight of consequences settling like snow. Internal affairs interviews followed, questions probing every meeting, every text. The moral line Kai had crossed now under bright scrutiny. He defended his choices, but the toll showed in sleepless nights and the empty locker at work. Leonardo faced his father's ultimatum: cut ties or lose inheritance, the family pressure reaching breaking point. In quiet moments, they talked through the pain, Kai admitting the guilt of risking his career, Leonardo wrestling with the guilt of disappointing the man who raised him. The unit buzzed with gossip, some officers supportive in private, others openly hostile, creating a divided precinct that mirrored the nation's larger debates on acceptance. Kai made the decision to fight the suspension, filing a formal complaint against the harassment, but each step forward carried the fear of total loss. The exposure that shook the precinct forced everyone to face uncomfortable truths, and the price was paid in strained relationships and shattered trust. The suspension stretched into weeks, Kai spending days in his apartment, replaying decisions, the choice to pull over that car, the choice to give his number, each one a thread that unraveled his life. Leonardo moved in temporarily, his presence both comfort and reminder of the storm they created. They walked the frozen Riverwalk one clear morning, hands gloved, but linked, the bright winter sun offering little warmth against the cold reality. "I told my dad I won't hide anymore," Leonardo said, voice steady, but eyes tired. Kai nodded, but the internal conflict raged. Was love worth the isolation, the lost promotions, the friends who stopped calling? A colleague reached out in secret, offering support, but warned the captain was pushing for termination. The betrayal cut deeper when Leonardo's mother called, pleading with him to reconsider for the family's sake, the pressure revealing cracks in even the strongest bonds. Kai visited his own parents over a tense weekend, their confusion turning to disappointment when he finally spoke the truth, leaving him raw and questioning every sacrifice. Back in Chicago, the precinct held a tense all-hands meeting where Captain Reyes addressed the elephant in the room, his voice clipped but eyes betraying pain. "Personal lives belong at home," he stated, but the damage was done. The unit divided, some rallying for Kai, others demanding accountability. Kai attended via video, the faces on screen a mix of judgment and empathy, forcing him to confront the societal prejudices he had hidden from for so long. Leonardo stood by him, publicly posting a simple statement on social media that ignited media attention, turning their private struggle into public debate. The awakening came slowly through long talks late at night, Kai realizing that hiding had cost him more than truth ever could, Leonardo finding strength in authenticity despite the family rift. Tough choices loomed, Kai deciding to appeal the suspension, Leonardo choosing to distance from his father's influence temporarily. The price was steep, lost income, strained friendships, but in those moments of honesty they found a deeper connection. The precinct felt the aftershocks, promotions, delayed investigations launched, the once tight unit now forced to examine its own biases. Kai and Leonardo faced each day with resolve, their actions proving that every decision carried weight and every stand demanded courage. Spring thawed the city as Kai returned to limited duty, the appeal process dragging but offering hope. He and Leonardo rebuilt slowly, sharing meals and plans, the joy of their early days returning in small measures, like the picnic they recreated at Millennium Park under brighter skies. The captain had softened slightly after months of reflection, calling Leonardo for a guarded conversation that ended without resolution but without slammed doors. Kai met with internal affairs one final time, defending his integrity and the right to live openly, the panel listening with neutral faces. His partner Mike apologized in a quiet bar meeting, admitting fear had driven his actions, the reconciliation tentative but real. The unit slowly mended, some officers reaching out, others keeping distance, the societal scars visible, but healing beginning. Kai made the choice to mentor younger recruits on authenticity, the experience transforming his fear into purpose. Leonardo graduated law school and took a job at a firm specializing in civil rights, their future together brighter, despite the costs paid in family ties and professional setbacks. In quiet reflection, Kai understood the trade-offs, the pain of exposure versus the emptiness of secrecy, the love that forced growth amid the chaos. They stood together on the Riverwalk one evening, the city lights reflecting on the water, hands linked openly. "Whatever comes next, we face it together," Leonardo said. Kai smiled, the weight lighter now. The precinct had been shaken, but in the aftermath, stronger voices emerged advocating change, proving that truth, even when painful, could reshape worlds. As they walked away from the water, Kai wondered about the path not taken, but knew this one, though marked with scars, led to freedom. Was it true that some secrets are better kept to preserve peace, or false because the cost of living in shadows always outweighs the temporary safety they provide?